G'day, my fellow media collectors. I'm Troy, and today we're looking at Superman 4: The Quest for Peace is a live-action superhero movie that was produced by Cannon Group in association with Warner Brothers and Gene Hackman's Golan-Globus production. The movie was released into theaters on the 24th of July 1987. Christopher Reeve agreed to return as Superman on the premise that Warner Brothers allowed him to have some input on the story. He wanted the film to focus on nuclear disarmament, an issue he felt strongly about at the time. This movie also saw Gene Hackman come back as Lex Luthor and Margot return as Lois Lane, with a bigger role this time around as Reeve pushed for her to return due to her falling out with the previous producers. This movie has a runtime of 90 minutes. It was released on 4K HD on the 6th of November 2018. And it was distributed by Warner Brothers Home Video. This movie follows Superman as he decides to rid the world of nuclear weapons after receiving a heartfelt letter from a young boy who thinks Superman is the one who can stop the nuclear arms race between the United States and the USSR. So he gathers all of the world's nukes and hurls them into the sun, hoping to bring about world peace. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor escapes from prison and creates a powerful new villain, Nuclear Man, by using Superman's DNA. Nuclear Man is fueled by solar energy. He threatens humanity and challenges Superman in a series of battles, ending in a climactic fight on the moon. Can Superman stop Nuclear Man and save the world from nuclear annihilation? Look, the story for this film has some, really noble ideas, but sadly, the script itself ultimately failed to deliver a coherent, compelling, and/or entertaining story, shall we say, as the main story arc in this script aimed to address a timely and important issue in around the late 80s, which was nuclear disarmament, which was a promising idea, but the writers instead delivered a very simplistic and clumsy script that was ultimately undeveloped, oversimplified, and filled with just weak characters, poor dialogue, and rushed storytelling. The film lacks any heart, charm, and spectacle of the original movies, instead feeling like a rushed mess that was relying on some heavy-handed messaging rather than strong character-driven storytelling. At its core, the idea of Superman deciding to intervene in the world's affairs and rid the world of nuclear weapons, it really had some potential to add some depth to his character, forcing him to grapple with the moral and political implications of his actions. The script struggles with its tone, veering between campy humour, heavy-handed political messaging, and some uninspired action, that's for sure. This film just never seems to find its rhythm, with the dialogue being clunky and on the nose at times, especially Superman's speech at the UN. This was a noble but misguided attempt that lacked any depth, excitement, and a compelling villain for that fact. And for that, the best I could probably do for this is a 4 out of 30. As I have stated in my last 3 reviews of these movies, this is the version of Superman that was based off, yes, the Golden and Silver Age comic books from DC Comics. And yet again, the movie makers have taken some creative liberties with Superman's powers yet again, such as this is a great one, his ability to rebuild the Great Wall of China using his repair vision.
That is not a thing.
Trust me, a power that I assure you does not exist in the comics. Also, instead of adapting an established Superman villain from the comics like Bizarro, the filmmakers created Nuclear Man, a weak intimidation of Bizarro, but without the tragic and compelling elements that make Bizarro a interesting villain. Also, one of the most infamous aspects of this movie is its terrible special effects. Oh my god. As the original Superman films were groundbreaking in their visual effects, this movie ended up looking, god, it was probably worse than some TV movies at the time, with some awful green screen flying sequences with visible outlines to say the least, and some laughably bad miniatures and sets. And it was all due to some massive budget cuts. From the initial 36 million they had for this movie, they ended up cutting it down to 17 million, which, let's face it, it definitely showed in the end product.
And it looks cheap as hell.
Now I'll bring up the cast here. And as you can see, we have a few familiar faces back this time around, and we got some new ones as well. But let's face it, this is not a stellar cast by any stretch of the imagination, like the first couple of movies. But with this movie and the budget, I guess they were had their hands behind their backs to get who they could. So as usual, look, I'm just going to go over the main characters, and as no surprise, of course we'll start with, yep, you guessed it, Mr. Christopher Reeve as Superman, aka Clark Kent. Now, even in what is considered the worst Superman movie, Christopher Reeve remains the best thing about it. His performance is as charismatic and sincere as ever, proving once again why he is the definitive Superman for many fans. Now, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor returns after skipping Superman 3, but unfortunately it's a watered down, cartoonish version of the character. Gorn is the sly, manipulative villain, and instead he spends most of his time cracking lame jokes and teaming up with his obnoxious nephew Lenny. Look, Hackman still has some great screen presence, but it's clear he's not really taking this role too seriously, and he's just there for the paycheck. And we have Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. This time Kidder is back in a larger role after being sidelined in Superman 3, but she's completely wasted. The script really gives her nothing interesting to do, and she feels like more of an afterthought than a main player in this movie. Now, new to the cast, we have Mariel Hemingway as Lacey Warfield, the daughter of the corporate sleazeball who briefly flirts with Clark in the movie. Look, she's charming enough, but she's completely unnecessary as a character, really. And there's probably one thing I probably should mention here as well before I forget, is she also has what is potentially the dumbest moment in this film. It is shocking. Where she gets dragged in space by Nuclear Man without a spacesuit, yet somehow survives?
That makes no sense.
Now, last of all is Mark Pillow as Nuclear Man. Now, he plays one of probably the worst superhero villains in Superman's history, that is for sure. But look, to be fair, it's not really his fault at the end of the day. You know, he did the best with what he could, as Nuclear Man has no personality, barely speaks, and exists solely to punch things. I mean, Pillow's performance is basically just flexing, pointing, and growling. So it's hard to really judge him on his acting when it doesn't actually require him to act at all, to say the truth. So look, with all of that put together, which isn't real great, yeah, look, the best I'm going to do for this is a 4 out of 20. Okay, as we look at the case, as you can see, it is just like the others to a degree. Like I said, it's a similar style across the board on all of them, which is awesome. I love when they do that. They put a little bit of effort in. Nice front shot. When we look at the side, same as the others. Like I said, they all look good together on your shelf. On the back, we just got the one shot as usual, just one photo, then all the details. Now, if we open her up, surprise, surprise, what do we see? But yes, a blue disc for the Blu-ray and red disc for the 4K. No pictures, unfortunately. So yeah, look, like I said, it is good. It's just like it won't shut. Look, this is good. It's just like the other ones. They all fit together nicely. So if you're collecting them all, it's good to get something that's a bit more uniform. That's probably the thing I love the most about them all. And this is probably the only shining light about this movie was the actual case and disc. Anyway, for that, I'm going to give this a score of 8 out of 10. So as we've been going through them, they kind of, as we go further down the line, they keep getting less and less and less special features. But we still do get a couple on this last one, and they are an audio commentary by co-screenwriter Mark Rosenthal, 15 deleted scenes, that's a few, Superman's 50th anniversary vintage TV special, and of course the theatrical trailer. So there's no making of this time around, which really isn't a surprise because like there wasn't much to this movie. But the 50th anniversary of Superman, oh Jesus, it is bloody terrible, that is sure. It has Dana Carvey of all people as the host, and it lists him as a historian of Superman. And then it has a heap of, shall I say, low-level comedians of the day doing little bits as characters from Superman's life. And to say it is lame, yeah, it is as lame as it sounds. Actually, it's probably lamer than it sounds. It is a slog to watch, trust me. I mean, if you have to, give it a go, but oh God, I'd stay clear for sure. And look, there's not much else. I mean, sure, there's some deleted scenes on there which aren't too bad, but yeah, overall, this is pretty disappointing as far as special features go. And look, the best I'm going to do for this one is maybe a 2 out of 10. As I bring up the Rotten Tomatoes scorecard, as you can see, the critics came in at, oh Jesus, that scared me, 10%. While the audience score came in at, ooh, God, that's not much better at all, 16%, bloody hell. Now, we don't need to tell you what the critics and audiences wrote about this movie, as I'm sure you can only imagine the disdain people have for this movie, as it felt like it really diminishes the legacy of these Superman films. And to say it left a bad taste in people's mouths was an understatement if you read the critics and especially some of the fan reviews. Ouch. Anyway, with that, oh, I'm surprised it gets this, to tell you the truth. As we do sort of round it up, it's going to get a score of 2 out of 10. Now, for me, I do remember when this came out because there was bits on TV and all that type of stuff, so I was in the zeitgeist. But I never actually saw it at theatres because my parents never took me and my brother to theatres much. So I had to wait a year or more till it came out on TV, I think. Now, as a teenager in the late 80s, I thought Nuclear Man actually looked pretty awesome, to tell you the truth, as he was just like every other action hero at that time that I grew up on and looked up to, with the whole mullet and muscles, just like these guys. Anyway, when I watched it, shit, I quickly realized this was not the movie I had hoped for.
Well, that seems like false advertising.
Now, look, as far as the bad aspects, there are a few, but they're like, for me, I really can give the heavy-handed political messaging about the whole nuclear Cold War thing, I can give that a pass actually, as it popped up in some of my favourite movies around that time, like Rocky IV. So look, I wasn't against that part of it, but there was definitely one thing that turned me off quick smart with Nuclear Man, and that was, oh God, here we go. His poisonous fingernails of doom. I mean, oh my god, what the actual
I swear to God, this has got to be a joke.
I mean, seriously, what were they thinking? This has got to be one of the dumbest things I have ever seen. I mean, you look at this character and he looks like this formidable foe for Superman to battle it out, but it ends up being a cat fight. Ooh, watch out, he'll scratch you with his fingernails. I mean, Jesus Christ, so disappointing, to say the least. And that was probably one of the reasons this is only the second time I have watched this film, as I need to watch it for this review. And it'll probably be the last too. Look, it's a disappointment across the board with the terrible script, bad CGI, among all the other things. But yes, the fingernails of doom, yeah, that really got me, to say the least. So with that, it's lucky it gets this, a 4 out of 20. As far as availability goes, this is definitely a 1 out of 5. As I've said before, it's just like the others. You can get it anywhere, everywhere, on everything. So yeah, not too hard to find what you're looking for. Now, as far as collectability goes, this one, I'm putting it like I did the last one. It's a 4 out of 5. Look, if you're a completist, you definitely have to get a hold of it to get the set. But if you're not that picky, then I'd probably give it a miss. The average price you are looking at is somewhere between the $18 to $57 mark for 4K HD. So look, as usual, as I say, it always pays to shop around. Now let's go to the scorecard and see how this one shapes up. Now, for the final score, we get a grand total of 24 out of 100. Oh, ouch. Now that is a terrible score for a movie that was able to kill off a super franchise like this. It is a sad ending to this quadrilogy. It is by far the one that everyone hates the most.
God, I hate you so much.
Hey, so if you like this video, you want to see some more of my reviews, why don't you click that one there? Oh, maybe you want to see some of my collection updates. Got you covered too. Why don't you click that one there? And of course, don't forget to do the most important thing. Throw me a like and don't forget to hit that subscription button. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you next time.